Welcome to another episode of Riding and Wrenching, the biggest little YouTube channel on the entire interwebs. I am your host, Hugh the Rider, and in today's episode, I have a special guest interview with none other than Ben Wolfe from Lock and Lean. And so that's going to be the next thing that you see in this video. In fact, if you just want to skip past my talking and go listen to the interview with Ben Wolfe, I will post a timestamp right here. All right, so a couple things before I get started. Now, I was in Nashville, Tennessee over the weekend practicing with the Lock and Lean 101 class there. Ben Wolfe was the instructor. Had an opportunity to meet a lot of great riders again. Just an absolutely phenomenal experience. Highly recommended. And best wishes to all of you who were there with me in Nashville taking the Lock and Lean 101 classes. So what I want to talk about for a couple of minutes is why do I take all of this training? Why is it important? And so to understand why I take this training, I want to tell you a little bit more about myself that some of you may not know. And I have only been riding for 4 years. I started just before I turned 50, and I took the basic riding course. That was the very first time I actually rode a motorcycle. Had no idea how to ride a motorcycle before that. But I learned a lot in the basic riding course, and after that, I started listening to podcasts like the Law Abiding Biker podcast and watching their YouTube channel. I saw Jerry Palladino's videos, and sometime shortly after I started doing all of that, I discovered this guy, Robert Simmons, and his channel. Learned a lot from him. In fact, I went and practiced with him numerous times, and I kept getting better. And a good friend of mine who I met through Robert Simmons, his name is Mario. He's a police officer out in the Baltimore, D.C. area, and he recommended Lock and Lean to me. And I took that class, and again, I'm continuing to learn. But why is it important? Well, I think it's important because I had no experience, and I wanted to be a safe rider. I'm too old to pick up motorcycles at the age of 50 and then go out and hurt myself because I don't know what I'm doing. And so I've really poured myself into learning how to master these machines. And I think I'm doing pretty well, and I'm going to keep going. And I strongly encourage anybody that's a new rider, take a class, take as many classes as you can. And there's nothing wrong with taking classes from different people or different organizations, because my plan is to take every class I can find. I actually plan on taking Jerry Palladino's class. I'm going to take the Champ Riding School. I'm going to go down to Texas or up to Ohio to do Pro Rider. I'm going to take every class I can, because there's nothing wrong with hearing different perspectives, because you never know what you're going to learn. And a couple of things that I've learned from the classes I want to share with you. The basic riding course, one of the big takeaways for me was when they talked to us about your vision and looking as far down the road as you can. That makes a big difference on a motorcycle, because you need to see what's coming and have an opportunity to react to situations that pop up in front of you. That was big for me. One of the biggest things I learned from Robert Simmons, I actually learned a lot, but one of the key things for me was the trust and believe exercise. To me, that's the most important one, because that uh-oh moment that he talks about with trust and believe is what every single person who's ever fallen off a motorcycle has felt. And the purpose of that exercise is to train your brain to have motorcycle instincts. Instead of putting your feet down and sticking your hands out, which is guaranteeing that you're going to fall, you just release the clutch into the friction zone. It's that simple, and the bike uprights itself. And that is something that I practice a lot. I still practice trust and believe. It's a phenomenal exercise that everybody needs to learn. Lock and Lean, I've learned so much there. It's hard to pick one thing, but the one thing that's really stood out for me with Lock and Lean right now is what my instructor, Ken Grant, told me, is to stay in the fight. I love that mindset, and I am trying to incorporate that into my riding and really everything else that I do. So that's why I practice. I practice so that I don't fall when it counts. I practice so that I have some tools in my tool belt and things that I can do if I get in trouble out on the road. I practice so that I don't damage my motorcycle. I practice so that I don't hurt my wife while we're riding. So that's why I do it. And I'm going to continue to do it. And I encourage you to do the same thing. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into the interview. I hope you enjoy it. This is Q. I'm riding, I'm wrenching, and here's Ben Wolfe. All right, I am here with the owner, founder, and lead instructor of Lock and Lean. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So introduce yourself to my YouTube channel, sir.
All right, my name is Ben Wolfe, and yeah, I'm the owner of Lock and Lean Precision Motorcycle Riding.
Now, how long has Lock and Lean been around?
We started the company in 2012, my wife and I.
So how did you come up with, or why did you do it? I mean, why do this? I mean, you already have a full-time job. You're a full-time police officer, correct?
Yes.
So why do you want another job? Why do this?
Because this isn't a job, this is a passion.
Awesome, okay.
Right? And then it kind of evolved into something where we could offer something that wasn't being offered anywhere else, and that is good quality training based on, I guess, my family background in police motorcycle riding. Okay. So 20 years ago, I got introduced by my father to police motorcycle riding.
Okay.
And then I became an instructor through Michigan State University 20 years ago, and went through an 80-hour, then 120-hour.
Wow. And
then went to my first rodeo out in Canada.
Yep.
And competed against well over 100 officers, and it was a learning lesson, you know.
Wow.
But it was a great networking experience of people trying to help other people get better at riding. And the focus was on police motorcycle operation because we use it as a tool for our job every day to stay alive. Why not offer those same skills to the masses of riders? Because there's more non-police riders throughout the United States and the world than there are police. Why shouldn't you guys have the same skills to stay alive? So with that in mind, Michigan State started a program for civilian riders, and it was based off of the actual police training in modules. And we worked from, you know, the slow ride all the way through road speed and back through. And then as we progressed over the years, I developed some ideas that were a little bit different, a little bit progressive,
yep.
A little bit aggressive. You know,
aggressive is a great word.
Yeah, aggressive, but in a good way.
Right,
and,
right.
More offensive-minded riding.
Right.
And so I kind of took off in a different direction, and then we formed Lock and Lean with those changes.
Okay.
And then Lock and Lean started off with just a small handful of classes, kind of more like a testing battery to see if these theories could be put to reality, and they worked wonderful. So
okay.
Lock and Lean was born. And then
so you have Lock and Lean 101.
Yes.
102.
Yep.
So what's the difference between those two?
So 101 is focused on slow ride.
Okay.
And a lot of people think slow maneuvers, it's just cone riding, it's rodeo riding. But before you get to the road, you got to turn the key, right?
Right.
So you're starting from 0 miles an hour, and a lot of people don't understand how to handle that heavy weight at slow speeds, especially in a lean. So Lock and Lean was born from students telling me, man, if I could just lock the bars, if I could just lean it, well, okay. The angry cone came from students telling me, hey, that cone bit me. I didn't knock that over, and I thought it was kind of cute, kind of funny, so the angry cone was born. It was an excuse, right?
Okay.
So now when you see that, there's no excuses.
Right.
It's a reflection, right? Your excuses are your reflection in the mirror. What can you fix? And then obviously some hard work. So 101 is focused on slow speed maneuvers, tight maneuvers, parking lot maneuvers, traffic maneuvers. You know, when you're stopped and sitting in traffic and you got a distracted driver coming up behind you, how are you going to escape? Right. Are you going to be able to escape? Once you get through that class, then you move into the 102, which is street speed focus. So now we start to get into road speed braking. We start to get into road speed evasive maneuvers, curve negotiation, braking and curve, all those things and all those miles that you put on, that's what we focus on. And we also add in some slow ride elements, but we add a speed element to it. Okay. So the whole idea behind 102 being timed and having a speed element is that sense of urgency.
Right.
If you're slowing down in traffic and all of a sudden you hear tires screeching behind you, you need to have a sense of urgency plus the precision module and technique that you built in 101 to get out of that situation. So we have developed a program to get you out of more situations than put yourself into them.
Right.
And then the braking is done at 30 to 35 miles an hour. Evasives are done at 30 to 35 miles an hour. Curve negotiation is done at 30 to 35 miles an hour. Now, the next level after that is 201. The techniques get a little bit more tight, I guess compact, competitive. And the whole reason that we focus on having a competition format for precision riding is that theory that I gave you guys in class, you're in competition every day on the road, right? So when you're traveling down the road, the person next to you don't know. They could be going to a funeral. They could be going to a wedding. They could be getting some type of surgical procedure done. They could be late to work. You don't know what they have going on in their life. So they're in competition with you to occupy the same space. But here's the deal. We're not competing with people on the roadway, right? But in their minds, they want to get there first. So you got to be thinking offensively like, hey, how can I position myself in a way that I can stay away from this competition that people create every day in everyday lives, everyday traffic? So the reason I don't like to refer to it as defensive driving, you're constantly in fear of your surroundings and positioning yourself, and you're letting the world dictate how you position yourself. Okay, I got to stay back from that car. Offensive riding is I'm going to put myself ahead of that car. I'm going to turn down this side road. I'm going to slow down and stop and let traffic move on. So it's just a different mindset. Then once we get to the road speed portion of it, speeds get up to 40, pushing 45 miles an hour. You're stopping within a second, transitioning down to 0 miles an hour, keeping your feet balanced, and then escaping out of multiple avenues, which could be curbs, oncoming traffic, U-turns. We take you on grass, gravel. If it doesn't rain, we make it rain, and we go from there. And then there's the 301 level, and the 301 is straight up competition riding. And a lot of people go, well, why would we need competition riding? Well, again, we talk about the competition on the roadway, but what about the competition among ourselves? You and I have had this discussion before. You know, some people go to extremes to try to win a $7 plaque, but that's not how we look at it, right? We're looking at how did we improve ourselves when we showed up there? How did we learn from somebody else, whether it be a rider, a situation, a moment that we experienced where we made a mistake, and then what kind of practice plan do we set up moving forward from there and build on that? So, you know, the competition format is exactly that. And when you come to that 301 level, in order to pass the class, you have to beat me now. So I teach you all the different techniques that I use to jump on any machine, and you've seen it, right? I can jump on anything and ride it through the courses. Now, there's some limitations, right? You get something so tight, it's like taking a school bus and trying to jam it into a parking structure. That's not gonna work. But within reason, I can ride the limitations of a motorcycle based on technique, and what the competition format does is challenge you extremely slow. Challenge you without your brakes and using good clutch and throttle management. Challenge you with good posture. Challenge you with road speed braking and escaping, and then challenge you with that sense of urgency, time patterns, precision, all blended into 3 days like a regular competition with a learning module. I'd say every hour there's a new challenge that you get thrown at you to, I guess, test your will, test your ability to overcome some stress and duress, and figure out what works good for your process. We build a process.
Gotcha. Now, some of the people that watch my channel are fairly new riders like me. So if someone has only taken the basic rider course, what do they need to do so that they get the most out of lock and lean? What do they need to do?
So it all depends on how you look at it. I mean, you can start working on stuff on your own, making turns in parking lots, but come into our class when you feel you want to master a motorcycle is going to be the way to do it. And the reason I say that is you can develop bad habits real easily without having somebody highly focused and highly trained saying, hey, you're letting out too much clutch, your posture isn't good, your eyes are in the wrong spot, your throttle is too high, you're giving too much rear brake. And I mean, there's much, much more than that. A lot more than meets the eye in that. So it's not just as simple as going in a parking lot, start cutting turns. One of our students in this class, he learned everything by video, and he's doing okay, but he's struggling with a lot of bad habits that are causing him some issues out there. So we kind of have to undo and rebuild. Then we go to another extreme. If somebody is so new that they're kind of uncomfortable in their own skin to begin with, I don't know if that's a question of, is there something to prepare them, or do they got to rethink if motorcycling is for them? And I'm not trying to push people away, but some people, if they get a license, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're proficient enough to get out there. It just means they passed a basic standard to ride around a parking lot, usually on a very small motorcycle. And let's be honest, if they were to jump on this right after that, there's a high probability of failure trying to ride slow or even trying to break at legitimate road speeds. So it would be nice if there was more of a graduated process through the nation, right? That would build them up. But Lock and Lean does a good job with that, with 101. And just because you come to 101, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to pass, right? And it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to fail. What you're going to do is gain knowledge. And even if you go through the 3 days and you gain 3 new things than you had before, I mean, just like any class I've taken, I look at what I can gain from that and build from. But if you don't know, you don't know. And so again, I think that the preparation portion of it is come and see us. Talk to us, and then we can build a practice plan for you as well.
So how would someone find you?
They can go to our website, which is www.lockandlean.com. They can go on Facebook. It's like Facebook/Lock and Lean. We got a YouTube channel where you can see some of our classes, some of the competitions that we've participated in, some of the riding that we do on different motorcycles. We also have Instagram. You can check us out on there. And I think that's pretty much it. We're starting to get on to I don't even know the name of the video. TikTok, yeah. You can tell I'm really into really into it. But yeah, we started dabbling on that a little bit too. But our Facebook is great. You can reach us through email. You can call us. I'll have a great conversation with you to try to, build a plan that works for you.
All right. Well, man, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for everything you do for the riding community.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man.